Good afternoon, everyone. I think we're all grateful to finally have some beautiful, sunny, warm weather to enjoy. And I know we, the Pathways to Success Speaker Series Committee, are grateful that you all took the time to be here. We hope that today's feature provides you with another great resource for yourself or someone that you support. As people are continuing to join in, I have a few housekeeping items to go over, and then we're going to get started. This is a live event, and to keep everything running smoothly, we have turned off everyone's microphone and video, and we'll keep them off for the duration. This will be recorded, and you will be able to find it on YouTube for future reference. If you have any comments or questions, please put them in the chat section at the bottom of your screen. We have allotted time after the presentation to try to answer as many questions as possible. We will leave the contact information posted during the question and answer period so that you can connect afterward if your question isn't answered or if it's more personal in nature. If you're having any technical difficulties, please post them in the chat section, and our trusty IT guy, Brandon, will do his best to help you out. Okay, I think we're good to go. Today we continue our series discussing DSBN Literacy and Basic Skills, formerly known as GOAL, and the Transition to Employment Program. For those of you that may not be familiar with the Literacy and Basic Skills and Transition to Employment programs, they provide services to the Niagara region with locations in the St. Catharines, Welland, Port Colborne, Niagara Falls, and Beamsville. They serve over 500 individuals each year and offer a range of services, taking an individualized, no one person is the same approach to everything that they do. Their aim is to provide a well-rounded and engaged experience for all of their clients. To help us further understand, we welcome Patrick Carew. Patrick is a manager of the Literacy and Basic Skills and Transition to Employment programs. Hi, Patrick, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Julie. I'm really looking forward to being here today.
Okay. I believe you're going to be starting with talking about the Literacy and Basic Skills program. And so everyone knows Patrick's going to do that presentation, and then we are going to stop at that point and take questions regarding that program. And then we will move on to the Transition to Employment program just to avoid any confusion between the two. Okay, so take it away, Patrick.
Great. Okay, thanks, Julie. So like Julie's saying, I will be talking about two programs separately. However, they work in conjunction with one another pretty much every single day. They're based out of the same sites. They have a lot of clients who move back and forth between the two programs. But either way, I'm going to be talking about them separately and welcome as many or as few questions as you guys have for me today. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and jump right in. Okay. 1 second. Okay, can you guys see is everything good with the PowerPoint? I'm going to take it as a yes.
Everything looks good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so like I said, or like Julie said, I'm the manager of a couple programs here at the DSBN, the Literacy and Basic Skills program and the Transition to Employment program. Both programs have been in existence for well over 20 years now, and both have been very highly successful in the past in serving the community and helping a lot of people in the Niagara region. So first off, the Literacy and Basic Skills program, I might refer to it as LBS, and I apologize. I try to remove acronyms as much as possible and jargon, but sometimes the kind of knee-jerk reaction to fall back into place. So who we are. Our program, again, has been in operation for over 20 years. This program in particular is an Employment Ontario program, which is also a program or is a funder that represents a lot of the employment services and other kind of employment related programs throughout the region. However, Literacy and Basic Skills is a little bit different and a little bit more well-rounded in its delivery and what they're looking to offer support to the people that participate. This program in particular serves individuals who are 19 plus. We can make exceptions for under 19 based on different situations. However, the reason why it's 19 plus is because under 19 individuals should be enrolled in school. And sometimes that's not possible, and that's when we can make those exceptions. This program serves about 175 people per year, and Our mandate is to support individuals in their reading, writing, math, employment, social, and or life skills. We are also the only program that offers service in ASL, and we're the only deaf stream program in the Niagara region. So we offer both Anglophone stream, which is English speaking and listening, as well as ASL, so American Sign Language, for individuals who are deaf, deafened, or hard of hearing. Our program, since the pandemic, has moved to both online and in-person learning when we're able to operate in person. We have been opening and closing with the schools. So when you guys hear that the schools are closed, we're closed to in-person learning, and we just jump completely online. And then when schools are open, we're also open for in-person. However, that doesn't interrupt our online services. We have had a tremendous amount of success delivering online programming, so much so to the point that the people who have participated in online often opt to not return in person because of how valuable they're finding their online experience to be. So what we do at the core of this program is, like I said, help people in that reading, writing, math, employment skills, social skills, life skills, all those kind of different things, and just help them work towards their goals. Being very goal-oriented, being goal-oriented is very important to us. Individuals come to us with an idea or something they want to work towards, and what we do is provide an individualized approach to supporting them towards their goal, whatever that goal may be. We deliver service in a classroom base. It's classroom-based service, which is typically about 4 to 8 individuals. However, everybody in that class is working on their own thing. So you can have somebody in the class that's working on math, where another person's learning how to improve their reading skills, and everything is created for them and based on what it is that they're looking for, what they're looking to achieve. All their plans, all their goals, all their work that they do with their instructor is based on what their needs are and what they've identified they want to work towards. Typically, our learners come in about 2 times a week, and typically for full days. So we're looking at like a 9 to 3 day for them. The other things that we do with individuals who come into our service is we help them create something called the learner plan, and we use a task-based approach to supporting them meet those goals. So we have individuals come to us who have otherwise been unsuccessful in their other training programs, other schools, and things like that. And we specialize in serving individuals with learning and or developmental disabilities. And we help them, we can identify those issues and implement strategies to overcome those, to really retain information and move forward. So to use an example, we have a young man participating in one of our sites right now who dropped out of school when he was 16 to go work with his family, and the family business eventually closed, and he came back to us at around 22, 24 years old. And I met him in October, and he had been with us in September. And prior to coming to us, this young man couldn't read or write at all, couldn't read or write a sentence, couldn't recognize words. He was completely illiterate, for lack of a better word. By the time I got to meet him in mid-October, this young man was reading and writing paragraphs. So that individualized approach is really important to us. We have a tremendous amount of success in supporting people where they're at and what they need, the things, and applying what they need to be successful in getting to where they want to go. So I talked a little bit about pathways. More specifically about this program is we help people work towards further education. So like more academics, working towards their high school diploma, going to college, going to university, things like that. So it's more of like an upgrading program, helping them improve their skills to be classroom ready. And then when we help with that transition into the classrooms. So going, being part of the school board, obviously that makes it a little bit easier for us to help with the transition to complete their OSSD. And when they start working towards their credits and working towards that diploma, we'll continue to support them afterwards if that's what they want. We'll help them with their homework. We'll help them review their work or understand concepts, that kind of stuff. A lot of individuals, a big uptick we've seen this year is specific to employment. So we have a lot of individuals who come to us that are working on their employment goals. So they come and they say, I want to develop skills around workforce skills, so working on their SmartServe or different kind of trainings like that, or more simple around like building resumes or interview process and other things kind of employment related. And then lastly, they can be independent bound, so just increasing their independent skills. To use an example of this, we have an individual who struggled with her reading and used to bring her mail to her neighbor to essentially say, this is what this mail is, this is what this says, because she couldn't read her own mail. And in her time here, she said, I want to learn how to read my mail. I want to know how to pay my bills. I want to know how to be more independent in my life. And we helped her with all those things. And last I spoke with her, she doesn't need to go to her neighbor's house to read her mail anymore. She can do that herself, which is wonderful. So the other thing outside of like generalized LBS, a lot of what I've spoken about has been just kind of our general LBS programming. We do offer a number of different trainings. So these are typically short-term trainings to kind of increase skill sets. It's very attractive to people who are employment bound, who are looking to just kind of tackle something and get some certificates. So one of our most popular ones would be our cash register and customer service training. That program or that training fills up pretty quickly. We have a really well-developed curriculum around that we've done a ton of research and spoke to lots of employers about what their needs are and how to essentially train a good cashier. We offer things like Microsoft Office and Word and Excel trainings. That would be for more advanced computer, like digital skills user. We offer things like computer basics. So everything from learning how to turn on a computer for the first time, navigating the internet safely, using email, that kind of stuff. And again, like academic prep, and we also offer American Sign Language training. That's very attractive to service providers, people who work at places like community living, who support individuals who are nonverbal, who want to learn kind of some basic skills around how to communicate with those individuals. So what I'd like to say to people around what we do is we offer essentially support and literacy to the range of people. Whatever it is that their goals are, we'll help them. We help them develop those goals. We'll help them we'll create the content for them to be successful. We don't have workbooks that somebody comes into our program and says, I want to do this thing, and we just hand them a workbook and go work through this. Everything that they do with us is individualized and customized to their needs to help them get to the place they want to get to. We have individuals who are with us that are learning how to read a clock, or who are learning how to schedule for the first time, or something of that nature, all the way to people with master's degrees who are learning how to work in advanced Excel because they want to look for a promotion in their job. We do the full gambit, and we offer service to all types of people. And there's no wrong way to engage with us around that. So our intake process, something that comes up often is what does this look like, and what can they expect? So something that we've adopted this year is a no wrong point of entry. So I'll provide at the end of this some of our contact details, which you guys can take a screenshot or whatever that looks like for you. But what's really important to us is it doesn't matter how you land on our lab, you will get served right away. So it doesn't matter if you sent us a text, it doesn't matter if you reach out to an instructor or message us through Facebook, called us or emailed, or it doesn't matter what that is. You will be served immediately, and you will be funneled to the person that will be responding to you within that day. You'll get a response within the day, the 24 hours, business hours, obviously, within the business day, sorry. and you'll be scheduled as quickly as within a few days, and you can get started as quickly as just a week with from the first point of contact. We tried to really improve this over this last couple years, because getting people in the door after they having to make that jump to out of their comfort zone to engage with us in the first place was really, really important. So the intakes are about an hour long, give or take. And what our intake person does is essentially helps explore goals, see what they're trying to learn, or why they've reached out to us in the first place, and then they assess their skill level and suitability for their programs. And that's simply a really non-invasive assessment to just determine where they would be best suited. So we like to kind of group people on a similar skill level together so they can all grow and learn together and be supportive of one another, and not feel really like a fish out of water. So that's kind of why we group, why we have to complete these assessments. And again, the assessments are based on goals. So if an individual comes to us and say, I want to get a job, then the assessment for that person would look a little bit different than somebody who says, I want to learn computer skills. Again, doesn't matter how you reach out. You can reach out to me directly. You can reach out to any of the staff or any of the ways, and you will find the person you need to be in touch with, who will follow up with you very quickly and get you going just as quickly. So what makes us special? There are other literacy and basic skills programs in the region, but what makes us special, and why the kind of feathers in our cap that we like to kind of boast about, is the following. So all of our programs are client-driven. Everything is individualized, based on goals, based on their commitment. When somebody comes to us and they want to go full-blown, then great, this is what we'll do with them. However, other people come to us and say, all I can commit to is like half a day here and there kind of thing, and we can support them in that. Some people function at a much higher level than others and are much closer to meeting those goals, and we support them in whatever length of attendance or length of time they are looking for. There is no hard, they're here for this long period of time. An individual can come to us and be with us for a week. They can come to be with us for 3 years. The other thing that, again, that's really special to us is we have our Anglophone stream as well as our deaf stream. So we can serve individuals who are deaf and or hard of hearing. We have 2 staff members in that program specifically who are deaf themselves. Both of them read lips and can speak. However, they're both deaf, and can teach fluently in ASL, whether it be teaching ASL or just increasing general literacy basic skills in ASL to those clientele. The other thing that we do is we can provide transportation. We offer service across the region, and there's not a corner of this region that we'll turn away, and we'll provide transportation if suitable for those individuals. So if an individual is from Fort Erie and they don't have the means to get to one of our other locations, we'll pay for that, that transportation to one of our locations, typically by cab, and we can get them to our classes as frequently as they are willing to participate. Our intake process is designed to make things comfortable and fluid for our participants. It's really important to us that part of their journey with us is like flawless and easy. The other thing that we do around our intakes is we'll go to the individual. So we'll meet them at one of our sites that's most convenient for them. We'll meet them out in public if that's applicable, or at organizations if they're from different organizations or we're referred in from that service provider. We'll go to the people. We don't make them walk through our doors unless they're able to. And again, we offer programming throughout the Niagara region that is pretty unique in LBS world. We have a number of different sites, which I'll show you. And however, we don't lock people to a specific site unless it makes sense for them. So these are our locations. We have 2 spots in St. Catharines. We have our main site here at the Goodwill Stoke Seeds building in St. Catharines. We typically put our academic bound individuals at our Lifetime Learning Center on Lake Street. Those that just makes it easier for them to transition into credit programs or working towards their OSSD. Being in that space already, that's where they would be learning. We have a site in Niagara Falls at West Lane and a site at Eastdale and Welland. Julie did mention we have a space in Beamsville as well. However, because of the pandemic, we had to pull out a little bit out of there and just focus our resources on these sites for this year. However, hopefully when the super school is built, we'll be able to have that space, retain a space in that area as well. Okay, so last slide for literacy basic skills is our contact information here. Like I said, again, you can reach us any way. We try to be as engaging and get in touch with people as quickly as possible and not make them wait around and wonder if we're going to get back to them. Okay, it's a little weird talking to a black screen, but hopefully that was engaging enough for you guys and you have some questions for me.
That was great, Patrick. Thank you. It was a lot of really good information as well. Do have some questions for you. Okay. So you had mentioned that there are some life skills based programs as well. What type of activities or classes do you have for someone that maybe isn't interested so much in the literacy part of it, but is more looking at some life skills development? Can you give us some examples of some of the things that you might do there?
Sure. So prior to the pandemic, we launched a life skills specific group that was focusing on more of the like cooking, cleaning, that kind of stuff, and was doing the kind of the range of how to meal prep, how to do your laundry, how to pay your bills, that kind of stuff. And so because of the pandemic, again, we had to like kind of rejig a lot of our resources in our classrooms. So what we've done is integrated those individuals into some of our other classrooms. So when somebody comes to us and they say, I'm interested in learning how to cook, they will work with their instructor around building those skills. We have a kitchen on site here at Page Street that can be used to help with those types of skills, learning how to bake, learning how to cook, healthy meals, that kind of range. Ideally, when the pandemic lifts, we'll relaunch a life skills specific module, which will be more of a structured 12-week program around kind of touching on all the different type of life skills. However, right now, if somebody was to engage with us, will be completely based on what they're looking for. If they come to us and they say, these are the things I want to learn, we'll teach them those things.
Okay. So there doesn't have to be a literacy component. They can simply, apply to be part of a life skills-based program. There doesn't have to be a literacy component specifically.
Right, yeah, so it's not, as far as the definition of our literacy goes in our world, the life skills component is just as important and part of our mandate. Same goes for social skills. So if somebody comes to us and say, I want to have more friends, I want to learn how to engage with people in a more meaningful way, we'll help teach those skills and help make those connections with people so they can practice those skills.
Okay. And you mentioned your instructors. How many instructors do you have, and what is usually the ratio of participants to instructor?
So we have good question. We have I think 8 instructors if I'm kind of spitballing here, and our classroom sizes are right now during the pandemic typically no larger than 5. I don't think we have the capacity in any of our classrooms to go over 5. That's maintaining 6 feet distance between everybody. However, without the pandemic, we have classrooms no bigger than 8. We won't have groups bigger than 8, except for our specialized trainings like cash register and things like that, where we're simply delivering a curriculum-based learning instead of that individualized approach. So to answer your question, like simply, our classrooms are 4 to 8 individuals per instructor.
And you had mentioned that you specialize in helping people that have, learning differences, disabilities, that type of thing. Does someone have to have a diagnosed disability or learning difference in order to be a part of your program?
No, so that's kind of one of the biggest misconceptions of like what we do. However, that's a specialty that we deliver, that type of service. That's something that our staff are trained on, and how to recognize these concerns or how to work with individuals who have these barriers. However, we have like the full range of individuals. Like I said, we do get those people with university degrees who come in and they're looking to improve certain skill sets, who want to participate in these different trainings. Like for example, our American Sign Language, I use the example of individuals who work at community living or who are teachers, who are EAs, these types of individuals who participate in our programs as well.
And someone's asking, what is the programming plan for the Beamsville Grimsby Super School? Do you have an idea?
No, so that's a good question. We have a space in Beamsville High, and the goal is to transition with them to the super school. I say super school, like that's my layman terms of, or my simple understanding of what's actually happening out there right now. But the goal would be to secure a space there where we can continue to serve West Niagara. However, with that said, that won't happen now for about a year or so, until they've actually kind of started up the school. And we continue to serve people from that area anyways. We will pay for transportation into our St. Catharines site or one of our other sites, depending on their needs. So we don't allow that to be a barrier. We have a large amount of people who participate from West Niagara already.
Okay, and sort of going along with that, if somebody isn't comfortable, say, participating in a program that's held in one of the high schools, some people have, past maybe not great experiences with high school and rather not go back into that sort of environment. Are they able to go to another site that isn't held in a high school?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we get that all the time. We fully recognize that that's not an issue. Not everybody's suitable to be in those spaces. When the intake's being completed, that's one of the things that they talk to them about. So we have lots of individuals who say are from the Welland area who don't want to be at Eastdale, and that's okay. And we'll bring them into St. Catharines if that's the case. And again, on the flip side, like those, for us, we're determining if that makes sense for them to be there as well. And our catch-all is the St. Catharines site. It's our largest site. We have lots of different classrooms. And worst case scenario, if the school is not somewhere that they want to be or should be or whatever that looks like, we'll bring them into our St. Catharines site.
Okay, and you had mentioned transportation, you guys would help to pay for that if they're eligible. What does that mean by eligible? Is there some type of proof that they need to have, or how exactly does that work?
So what we're just assessing need when we're determining if transportation is suitable for an individual. So the transportation costs will absorb if it is a barrier to their engagement. So as long as an individual has demonstrated or has spoken to us about, I don't have the means to make this work, then we'll pay for that. We'll pay for that transportation and we'll arrange it. The learner will never see any side of that. That's something that we take care of. But on the flip side, we'll also talk to them. Do you have a car? Do you have the means to do this and ensure that It's not just out of convenience, it's more out of a need. So that exists to reduce barriers. And along with that also comes to barriers of engaging in our service in general. So if somebody's learning from home who is not comfortable coming into our site and wants to engage in online services, we can actually support them in providing them technology to work from home, providing them paying for things like their internet access and things like that, if that is something that they need.
Amazing. Someone's asking if the Catholic Board offers anything like that, and kind of going along with that, does it matter what school board someone might have been associated with previously, or does that make no difference at all?
No, so the DSBN, as far as that goes, like, so the organization name is irrelevant to the participation in our program. So the Catholic Board does have an LBS program just like we do. However, we all kind of specialize in something a little bit different. So no, an individual doesn't need to have been from or participated in at the DSBN prior or gone to school. School is irrelevant. They could be from Newfoundland and still participate with us. And each LBS provider kind of does things a little bit differently. The Catholic Board typically takes people who are a higher level, who are more academic bound than our individuals who are more focused on those core skills. However, like I said, we all kind of do things across the board and offer a range of service. So typically you wouldn't get turned down anywhere you go, and most of us would be equipped to serve people regardless of level. It's just simply based on what our specialty is.
Okay, and final question before we move on to transitions, to make sure we get that in there as well. You had mentioned the other programs like the cashier training program, things like that. Are there any costs to any of your programs at all?
No, so everything's free. Everything costs $0. I was like trying to think of something really smart to say there, and I'm like, $0 is the cost. No, everything we do is free. It's meant to increase literacy skills in our communities, and if you have any interest in any of our programs, like, again, you're welcome to reach out to any of our means to contact us.
Perfect. Okay, so if people still have questions about the LBS program, please continue to put them in the chat, but we are going to move on to the transition to employment program to give you time to talk about that. And then we'll also have time for questions at the end of that as well. So please continue to post any questions that you have in the chat. So again, take it away, Patrick.
Great, those are good questions. I like that. I think better on my feet than I do in these presentations things. So it's a little bit more of my wheelhouse. Okay, so transition to employment. Again, when I talk about literacy and basic skills and transition to employment, I like to refer to them as sibling programs. These two programs work across the hall from one another. When you get introduced to literacy basic skills, they're going to walk you to transition to employment, to meet the staff there, to explore that as an option if that's something that is in your goal, is something you want to work towards. And vice versa. When somebody engages with our transition to employment program and they are expressing a need for something, we'll start that conversation with literacy and basic skills to see if there's something we can do and provide the training or the content they need to kind of level up, per se. So who we are. So transition to employment program is a free employment program, employment service, offered to individuals 16 plus anywhere in the Niagara region, and specific for individuals who self-identify as having a disability. So that's something I'm going to come back to in our next slide, but it's really important that the terms self-identify is something that is something that kind of reigns in the back of your mind. So this program, again, has been operating for over 20 years. It's been under a few different ministries. Most recently, we made a transition to be amalgamated with the rest of Employment Ontario, which you might have heard of places like Job Gym, being from Niagara, everybody knows Job Gym, or the YMCA of Niagara, or Employment Solutions, that kind of stuff. So we're all essentially under the same umbrella. What we do is a little bit different than one another, though. So this program historically offered support to individuals who were on ODSP, so Ontario Disability Support Program, and help them towards their employment goals. What made us really special in this network that we belong to is not only did we help people find jobs, we built their capacity to get a job in the first place and to retain a job. So prior to this year, we were funded to support individuals for 3 years after they retained employment. So when we help somebody get a job for the first time, we continue to work with them at that time for 3 years following, and just as intensely as we did prior, based on their need, what they're looking for, just to ensure that things are going well and that they're keeping that job. That's really important and really special, because that's not something that all employment programs offer or have offered in the past. I'll get to the rest later. But as far as I get ahead of myself, as far as who we serve and how many we serve, we serve just over 300 individuals per year. We have a larger team and one of the largest disability employment service programs in the region. Again, with this program, we adopted the no wrong point of entry concept. So it doesn't matter how somebody lands in our laps, they will be served immediately. And with this program, they're served based on their schedule, and we'll likely hear from one of our employment consultants within a couple hours of them initially reaching out. So what do? We, again, serve individuals who are 16 years old or older in the Niagara region who identify as having a disability. So what does that mean? They don't have to be on ODSP. They don't have to be receiving supports for their disability or anything like that. Their disability is completely self-identified, and we're not here to determine if it is a disability, if it isn't, or whatever. There's no matrix to say this is the catchment. All it requires is for the individual to say, these are my barriers, and we'll work with these people. So to give you an idea of the range, we have individuals who've come to us who say, I have severe diabetes and my diabetes gets in the way of me retaining employment. I need your help. And then we have people who, on the other side of the spectrum, who are wheelchair bound or paraplegic or something of that nature. And a big uptick we've seen with in our service since we made this transition to self-identified disability is now we're seeing a lot of individuals who have mental health, whether it's severe like schizophrenia or bipolar, or more minor where like it's struggles with some anxiety or is medicated for different things in that kind of side of things. Other things like that would be kind of in this catchment would be individuals with addictions who say, this is my barrier, these are the things that impact me, and this is my disability. We don't ask the question typically of an individual who comes to see us. We don't say, what is your disability? We don't say that. That's not a thing that we do. And again, we're not here to determine whether or not they do have a disability. It's completely based on them and whether or not they think we're suitable to serve their needs. I'll get to the intake in a little bit and I'll explain a little bit more about that. So now under this amalgamation, we serve individuals in building their capacities for employment and however long that looks. So we have individuals come to us that are 6 months out from even thinking about applying for a job. We have individuals come to us who want a job tomorrow, and we'll help them do that. Everything is individualized. Everything's based on their goals. There's nothing we don't plant those seeds. Like, it's not for us to determine what that individual's needs are. Sorry, not needs, what they should be doing. It's based on what they're looking for. When somebody comes to us and they say, this is what I want to achieve, we'll help paint the picture of that journey and get them to that place if that's what they're looking for. Well, many people just come to us, say, I just want a job, give me a job. We do that too. So what we do is we build those capacities. If it requires a more in-depth training, we can refer over to the literacy basic skills and they can support them in that way. If it's more of a one-to-one thing, our employment consultants do that, whatever the needs of that client are. We then, whenever they're feeling employment ready, whatever their goals are, whatever that looks like, will help secure employment. So we do things like building resumes. We help them with their job search, apply to jobs. We'll go and see, I'm getting ahead of myself, we'll go, but we'll go and engage with employers and get them in the door, whatever that looks like. And then again, support them in retaining that job for a year after they've secured that initial job. So we used to, like I said, we used to be funded for 3 years. So a year is a cakewalk for us. We had a retention rate of 65 to 85% over the course of 3 years in people getting a job and keeping a job for that period of time. So 12 months, our retention rates are much higher. Again, everything we do is individualized based on their goals, not ours. We don't, people when they come in and see us, we don't say, this is what you need to be doing, this is what that looks like. And unless that's what they're looking for from us, if they're looking for a career exploration, we'll help them with that, obviously. But it's completely based on what their needs are, what their goals are. And again, we work with employers to get people in the door. We have lots of employers that we work with that are sensitive to the needs of our clientele. We'll help with that job creation part of things. We'll help them in the workplace. We have individuals who call us every single day saying, I want to quit my job because I'm so anxious, I hate my job or whatever. And because of their anxiety just in the way of them retaining employment. And we take those phone calls every single day and support them through that. And then we'll call the employer and say, hey, so-and-so is having a bad day, just as a heads up, and help the employer and the client retain that job instead of them just not showing up that day. So getting a little bit more into detail, like I said, I was getting ahead of myself in my last slide, but we kind of do whatever it takes for that individual to be successful. We help with things like building resumes, applying to jobs, building their capacities to job search independently, and build their skills to keep a job, whatever that looks like for them. We do mock interviews, interview prep, whatever it is that they need. The other thing that's new to us this year is we can support in securing apprenticeships and second career. I don't want to go into all the details around that stuff. However, those come with a financial incentive if somebody was to pursue either apprenticeship or second career through us or through any of the employment services in the region. A big piece of what we do and why we're successful is how closely we work with employers. We go right into the workplace. We'll meet the people that own the business or run the business or whatever that is, and work with them very closely to support our clients in keeping their jobs. That's why our retention rates are extremely high, because we put just as much time into people keeping a job as it is getting a job in the first place. Getting a job when you're an employment consultant is the easiest part of what we do. When somebody engages with us for the first time and they say, I want to get a job tomorrow, we can do that. That's easy. That's something that we can do. We can overcome those barriers to employment. We can support them in getting them in the right place, in the right job to keep the job is a whole nother animal. We'll support them just as much in keeping that job as we would in getting the job in the first place. So I think, yeah, so moving on to the kind of the job retention piece, we'll support in that crisis management, maintaining employer relations. We'll introduce ourselves to the employer. We'll go in there and we intervene as much or as little as is required. Some individuals come to us and they just need help building a resume, and that's fine. Others come to us and they need help with us being in the workplace, helping them get trained on their first day of work. And we'll do that as well. So whatever it takes for them to be successful. And again, we offer a number of different pre-employment courses and trainings. Literacy and basic skills really kind of carries the weight as far as the training stuff goes. However, our employment consultants do provide that one-to-one support for individuals in getting them employment ready. So what makes us special? Again, there's a number of different disability employment services in the region. I spoke about our retention rates, very, very high. And it's very impressive considering how extremely barrier people can be who come to us. A lot of the individuals that participate in our programs need that additional support, and that's what we're here for. And we've been extremely successful over the years in that. Something that's very special to us is we'll go to clients anywhere in the region. We don't get locked down to sites. We do have sites throughout the region. However, again, if it's not convenient to them, they might never step foot in our door. We might always meet at a Tim Hortons or at the park or whatever is most convenient to them. Transportation is a massive barrier to people. So we'll go and see them at every corner of the region, regardless of where they live, if they can't come to us. And that's okay. Many of our clients never see inside of one of our offices. Everything we do is individualized. We don't have any mandatory training. We don't make them jump through hoops. Whatever it is that they're looking for, we help them be successful in that goal. The other thing that we can do for people is we can pay for employment related costs. So we can help them with things like paying for a haircut or getting work boots or transportation for their first month of employment, or whatever it is that they need to be successful to reduce those barriers to securing and retaining employment. And again, we have offices all over the region and ongoing expansion based on the needs that we're seeing in the region. So here's some of our hard sites. So again, like I said, these are just suggested sites, but we do have employment consultants that are located at all these sites, and they're responsible for each area. So if you have an individual who's living in Welland, you'll be connected with the Welland employment consultant who can much more conveniently support you in that area if that's where you're looking. We have new sites at Niagara Falls at Gate Alliance. That location is a big location. We have a couple of employment consultants there, and we have our site in Port Colborne, which we also opened up recently. Again, we try to reach the entire region. That's pretty unique to us. We try to be available from Fort Erie to Grimsby and really support everybody. We don't make people walk through our St. Catharines door to engage with us. We'll go to them. So here's our contact information. If you guys want to take a picture of all that, and I think I made decent time for questions at the end. So.
That was great, Patrick. Thanks. We do have a couple of questions that have come through. Somebody was asking if you have any established connections with local employers. So people that are really familiar with you and.
Yeah, so we have an employer database that we work off of and are continuing to grow and expand. Like I said, a big part of what they do is that employer engagement. When somebody comes in and says, I want to work at this place, the employment consultant will go to that place and establish that relationship and go, hey, I got this person for you, and really sell that person. These are their skills. This is their needs. This is how they're going to be successful. And not only that, I promise you, we're going to help you retain this employee. The cost to employers to retrain and to support individuals or to get new people, post jobs, all those things is tremendous. And if we're going in there selling, we got the person for you, and these are the accommodations that they require. However, like this, this is what we do and how we can support you as an employer. That's a easy sell for us to do.
And you had mentioned, for some people, it's just, getting through the door on that first day, or maybe getting through that initial training that first week in terms of, anxiety and not knowing anyone and things like that. Do you do any one-to-one support on the job with people at all while they're getting the training and getting used to being there, if that's necessary?
Yeah, so I'll give you a couple examples of what we do. Like I said, again, whatever it takes for that individual to be successful, whatever that looks like based on their goal. But like a really good example that happened just recently, a few weeks ago, we had an individual whose anxiety was so crippling. They live on Lundy's Lane at one of the motels because they're struggling with their housing situation right now, and they were only willing to work on Lundy's Lane because they could walk to it. Their anxiety, they struggled so much with the idea of riding a bus that to get to wherever that they were unwilling to even entertain the idea of not working on the lane. So our employment consultant supported them in getting an interview out of the area, not on Lundy's Lane. Our employment consultant went and met him at on Lundy's Lane near his residence. They rode the bus together. She prepped him for the interview the whole way there and supported him in the training and understanding of how to ride the bus, brought him to the interview, then waited for him to complete the interview, introduced herself to the employer, went through that whole job development piece, rode the bus back with him, and did it again with him when he had a second interview for that place, and then he was able to secure employment. So that's an example of kind of one of the interventions that they'll take to support them in reducing those barriers. But yeah, the other things that we'll do is we'll help with onboarding, filling out paperwork, doing all kinds of that different stuff. We'll actually go into the workplace and help train them if the employer isn't feeling capable of doing that, or if the client requires that they have the relationship with us, so it can be more effective if we're there training or being there for half a day. And we'll also go in and intervene if things are kind of sliding a little bit after a period of time. So if the employer is calling us and saying, hey, Patrick's really struggling, then one of our employment consultants might go out there, see them in the workplace, help them with those skills that they're lacking, and provide that a little bit of attention that the employer may not be able to afford.
And some people, one concern might be in terms of confidentiality, in terms of using your support and having you going in and helping, with problem solving, or even, the beginning. Not everybody sort of wants everything out there. How do you work around that, just for anybody that might be struggling with a little bit of anxiety around that in terms of confidentiality with the workplace?
That's a good question. So we're always going to take the least intrusive to most intrusive approach to working with people, and everything's client driven. So we're not our staff aren't just randomly calling employers for them. The staff will speak with the clients and say, this is what I can do. Is this what you want me to do? And let the client dictate how much we intervene based on what they're comfortable with. Like I said, some people come to us and all they need help with is building a resume. We have people with long career histories who got laid off at their last employer, and having someone one of our employment consultants go out and advocate for them might not be in their wheelhouse. They might be a high-level professional or whatever that looks like for them. It's completely based on what they're looking for. Nobody's going to get pushed into having to show all their cards, per se.
Great. The last question, I'm not quite sure if you're able to help with that. I know you had mentioned that there's sort of an expansion happening, and you help in terms of from 40 area to St. Grimsby. Someone's asking about in the Brantford area. I don't know if you have any knowledge about anything out in that area.
Sure, yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that. So under the new umbrella, we're the funding agency is responsible for Hamilton, Brantford, and Niagara. So There are a number of different employment services that do essentially what we do out in that area. We only serve the Niagara region. However, if you want to get in touch with me after, I can send you that list.
Perfect. That's great. And does somebody need to be referred, or can they just self-refer, give a phone call?
Yeah, most of our people are self-referred. So they just like simply send us an email or send a text or reach out on Facebook, whatever that looks like I said. But no wrong point of entry again. Whatever it is that they're looking for, they don't need to be referred.
Perfect. And final question, I think. Is it going to be possible for people to get copies of the slides of the information that you've given?
Yeah, I can email that over to you, Julie, if you want afterwards, and you can send that off to everyone.
Great. You gave a lot of really good information, so I think that'll be helpful for people to be able to refer to it in the future. So yeah, so our hour is up. Thank you so much, Patrick. You gave amazing information. It was really, really helpful, and we really appreciate it. And it's hard to believe, but next Wednesday we finish up the speaker series. So please, everyone, join us next Wednesday, 12 o'clock, when we'll be featuring Gateway Residential and Community Support Services. You can use the same link that you used today. So have a great day, everyone. Thank you again, Patrick. Enjoy the sunshine and summer weather. Stay safe. And we'll see you next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.